Hi, everybody, and welcome into the Take the North podcast, along with Dan Wiederer of The Athletic. I am Mark Grote of Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Dan and I have been at Haugh all week, and we are reporting to you right now. What's going on, Dan? How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I made an escape from Haugh this afternoon, so I'm back in the home office for this podcast. But it was a busy Thursday out there, and you and I got some work done separately and together, which we'll tease later in the program for an episode tomorrow.
Yeah, man. We were working together for the people who want more from the Take the North podcast, TTN, and we promise that we will deliver. Yeah, Dan was able to sneak out and get back home. I am still at Haugh, originating from the NFL Network studio. For people who are watching on video right now, people always wondering what the heck is going on, if I'm on a TV stage or if I'm getting my picture taken in here, because we've got all the lighting devices in here. That's where I am. I am just outside of the media room in the NFL Network room, which our good friend Stacey Dales, I believe, technically has ownership of, but we all seem to occupy this particular room at different times.
Yeah, she Airbnbs it out to you a couple times per week, and you pay Stacey for the use of it, and on we march.
Shout out to Stacey Dale. She is one of the good ones, and hopefully we'll get to have her on at some point in time during the season here on Take the North. But she, like us, very busy. Interesting things on the injury report on Thursday, including the two things that remain the same. Tyreek Stevenson and Cole Kmet missed practice on Thursday, so that's 2 straight days of missing practice. Tyreek with the shoulder injury, Cole Kmet with the back. I did not see either of those guys in the locker room. Dan, I don't know if you caught a glimpse of either of them. No. Okay. So
Nor did I. No.
Okay, so that's not a great sign for either of them. And all of a sudden, Braxton Jones goes from limited to did not practice. That's a knee, right?
It is, yes. That's a knee issue
Yeah.
currently for Braxton Jones, and so it's another small setback for a guy who's had a lot of setbacks throughout 2025 and the end of 2024.
It's been a weird year for Braxton Jones, right, in terms of his health and his play, and obviously he was replaced by Theo Benedette before that. Roquan Johnson, again, did not practice because of his back. Joe Thuney sat out. Don't worry. Joe's okay. Just getting one of those Veterans Day off. He's like the Mercedes Lewis plan, right? It's like, because he's 40. That was Mercedes.
Yeah, Joe's not that old yet, but I think it raised our eyebrows a little bit not to see him out there, and then to get the official word that it's just a Veterans Rest Day, obviously a comforting sign.
Yeah, I mean, just so to take you behind the stage or behind the curtain a little bit, like we'd go out there, we get a glimpse of the practice, and we're all taking attendance, and we all look at each other like, oh, interesting. He's not out there. He's not out there. Why is this guy not? Why is Joe Thuney not out there? And then we get the injury report, and we find out that Joe Thuney, who has been, by the way, has played very well, kind of living up to his billing as just a complete stabilizer on that offensive line. We haven't talked much about him this year, Dan, and I know the offensive line has definitely had its issues. Drew Dahlman at center with the exchange with Caleb Williams has been an issue. Jonah Jackson's play has been a little bit uneven, but Joe Thuney, as counted on, as paid, has been pretty good at his left guard spot.
Look, he also arrived here with as many Super Bowl rings as games missed in his career. That's regular season and playoffs combined. And so reliability is part of the resume for Joe Thuney. He's played very well, but he's also available every single Sunday, every single Thursday, every single Monday, whenever you're playing. And so the Bears obviously hopeful and optimistic that he'll be ready again this weekend.
This is new on the injury report. I did not like seeing this. Kyler Gordon limited today with groin and calf issues. The injury that he had that he had missed games for was the hamstring, and now he is dealing with the groin and the calf. I did not see Kyler Gordon, but we all know how depleted the secondary is right now, so that's a bit of a problem. DJ Moore, hip injury, as you know, he was actually upgraded to limited today. He did not practice yesterday, did not practice Wednesday. He did practice on Thursday. DeAndre Swift upgraded to limited after missing yesterday or Wednesday's practice. And then full participation from 3 big names: Cairo Santos, Nahshon Wright, and Grady Jarrett. Any of those guys that I mentioned, limited or full, Dan, that you wanted to comment on or bring up?
Well, look, like I know we had a chance encounter with kicker Cairo Santos on the walk from the media room to the locker room as he was headed to the cafeteria, and you tried to shake him down, like really aggressively shake him down for whether he was going to play on Sunday. And Cairo, being Cairo, said, "I don't know if I'm at liberty to disclose that information." And so here we are. Look, like the Bears' vibes on this all along is that when Cairo's healthy, he will be their kicker, and so Cairo is a full participant in practice. Connect the dots says that he will be their kicker Sunday in Baltimore, but this is the NFL. Weird things happen all the time. And so, you just kind of wait to make sure that stuff is all validated.
Yeah, you and I had the numbers, man. Walking down that hallway, I was like, "Oh, there comes Cairo." I was like, "I'm gonna take a shot at it." He kind of smiled, that sheepish Cairo. Cairo's about the nicest guy in the locker room. I have
Yeah.
no idea, like, really how the protocol works because we've had guys. Yeah, I've had guys this year tell like Colston Loveland when he was coming back. Kyler Gordon just straight up say, "Yep, I'm playing. I'll be out there." But I guess Cairo, he's by the book. But I got to believe, man, if he's a full participant and the Bears said upon being asked that if Cairo is healthy, will he be kicking? This is a moment of truth. And it doesn't just because he's a full participant doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be healthy or is healthy or 100% on Sunday. Certainly you'd like the kicker who is 100% if that is Moody. But I got to believe, Dan, that he is going to be back out there. It's really going to be good to see. I can't imagine that Grady Jarrett is not back out there this week because he seemed like from my
Trending in the right
conversations with
direction.
him, it felt like he wanted to be. And I know guys always want to be out there, but I feel like he was about ready to go last week, and maybe it was precautionary. So I do feel better about Grady Jarrett this week.
And he's another one of those guys that, again, track record career-wise, hasn't missed a lot of time, takes great pride in that. Cole Kmet, another guy, takes a lot of pride in not missing time. I don't know how bad this back injury is right now. It would have to be really bad to keep him off the field. You could add DeAndre Swift to that list of a guy who can pop up on an injury report, but you never sort of see his name on the injury report and go, "Oh God." You usually say, "Okay, DeAndre's going to find a way to be ready on game day." And so, like those types of guys are the types of guys you build culture and you build a program with because they do everything they can to get back on the field. DJ's on that list as well. He obviously, he went from the hospital to the huddle within 6 days last week, and obviously having a chance to talk to him today, another guy that you can tell takes great professional pride in making himself ready for game day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll, as a matter of fact, of course, there is a player that does not play for the Chicago Bears whose injury status is by far and away the most interesting. That'd be Lamar Jackson. We'll talk all about Lamar Jackson coming up in one of our ensuing segments, but I do want to spend a little more time in our first segment on a couple more things. We heard from the coordinators today. We heard from Richard Hightower. We heard from Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, and we also heard from the defensive coordinator as well. And I thought it was very interesting to hear him talking about specifically Tremaine Edmunds and kind of the evolution of his year, and kind of saying that when they started to work him at weak side linebacker early this year, Dennis Allen said that it was a little uncomfortable for him. It wasn't, it was taking him out of his comfort zone, but he has thrived in that spot, being as athletic as Tremaine Edmunds is, and to have TJ Edwards back now, all of a sudden, I'm not going to try to say you've got one of the best linebacker combos in the league. I think we'd probably have to really sit down and go through that, but to hear some of the backstory on Tremaine Edmunds and just the way he's playing, I thought should be highlighted a bit today.
Yeah, sure. And Ben Johnson talked about it a little bit earlier in the week as well with the work they put in the springtime of getting both TJ and Tremaine to work multiple spots in the linebacking core to get them tested, to get them familiar if they had to move around. They feel like Tremaine's athleticism makes him a little bit more dangerous at the will spot than it did at the Mike spot. And so, look, like I give Dennis Allen a lot of credit for understanding how to use the pieces he has, right? You see a example of that with Kevin Byard, a guy who's advanced in his career into his 30s, and now all of a sudden he's looking like he's going to be back at the Pro Bowl if he continues to produce the way he has. And some of that is just the defensive coordinator putting you in spots to use your greatest gifts. And for Kevin Byard, it's the ability to ball hawk, and to be able to go after the football and make plays on it and have those ball skills show up. With Tremaine Edmunds, you want to tap into that athleticism as much as possible and get that to show up. I said it earlier in the week, Grote, like when we left Detroit and we saw how badly that defense played on that day and in the fourth quarter of the previous game against the Vikings, what was so alarming to you and I was that it didn't marry up with what we had seen through training camp with this defense. This defense that we've seen now for the last 4 games is more consistent with what we were expecting, right? And so it's not like they've had this magical breakthrough. It's that they're starting to play toward the expectations that we all had when we left training camp. And Tremaine's a part of that, right? You want all of your highly paid starters to produce like highly paid starters. And that's certainly a notable thing to talk about at this stage of the season.
Yeah, no doubt. And, the adjustments have been good by Dennis Allen. We know that. Like, they are starting to get better at stopping the run. They are getting better at getting to the quarterback, even if it takes a little bit of creativity and dialing up a Kyler Gordon or a Tremaine Edmunds. And these have been key sacks in the game, and we see how meaningful they are. So Dennis Allen, a good day today. Anything that Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, talked about today stand out to you, Dan?
We're going to get into more of this in our next episode as well. I just think that there is a ongoing push inside that building from that coaching staff of getting Caleb in the right mind frame to balance the scramble and throw versus the tuck and run elements of extended play, and what he's responsible for and what he needs to do to get that humming again. And I felt like Declan Doyle kind of zeroed in on that a little bit today and talking about just finding that right balance for the quarterback. This offense has got some things to clean up and improve upon. And it's a pretty significant list. If you just remove this 4-2 record from the equation and look at the pre-snap penalty issues, the recurring red zone issues, some of this accuracy problem that Caleb has had here consistently through the first 6 games. And so they've got to be really, really honest with themselves. And I think they have been. And now it's just all about going out and producing the improvement.
Yeah, and getting Colston Loveland was a big topic earlier this week too, and getting him the ball. It's something that Ben Johnson has put on himself. I mean, earlier this year he said that's on me. I got it. But you and I both know that is on Caleb. That is also on Colston, and the progress. They say the progress continues for him, but he certainly is, in a developmental stage right now. Not that Colston can't contribute, but we just haven't seen the lights, camera action that we're expecting to see, that one should expect out of a first-round pick. As for the finale of this segment, Dan, I'm glad that you put it in the rundown. I was debating during Caleb's session with the media yesterday, is there a place for me to ask a ridiculous question to Caleb Williams? Earlier this year, as people remember, the Wiederer Circle put out a promise that if Caleb Williams was to throw 4 touchdowns in a game, that they would give out free hot dogs to everybody. Well, guess what? Caleb did that, threw 4 touchdowns, and Wiederer Circle had to give up a bunch of hot dogs. Well, I noticed something on their X account, and I brought that up to Mr. Caleb Williams.
According to the official count of the Wiederer Circle, if Ben Johnson takes his shirt off during or after any Chicago Bears victory this year, it's once again free hot dogs for the city. Will you encourage him to do that?
I don't know if I'm going to encourage him to take his shirt off, but if he does it, he loves Chicago, and I think he's been enjoying Chicago, so he may or may not do it. So we'll see. But I'm not going to encourage the guy to take off his shirt and for some hot dogs. But yeah.
What did you think about that answer, Dan?
I give Caleb good sport points for finding a way to navigate that treacherous territory the way he did and finding a way to give an answer that was serviceable. You and I now have become the unofficial liaisons of asking Wiederer Circle questions to Caleb Williams. I had to do it post-game after the Cowboys win. You did it on Wednesday. And now I feel obligated on Friday to bring this to Mr. Ben Johnson's attention. We got to ask him, are you willing to feed the masses in Chicago simply by partaking in this silly stunt that they're encouraging you to partake in. This is going to be very interesting. I don't know if Ben, you got to feel it out. You got to see what kind of mood Ben is in on Friday. Is it light Friday Ben mood, or is it like we got to get this red zone operation ironed out, and I don't really have time for this nonsense right now? So we'll play that one by ear. Maybe throw somebody else under the bus to throw that grenade into the ring. But I appreciate your boldness there. I appreciate the willingness to lighten the mood, because that's what's necessary.
Yeah, man. I mean, you inspired me by asking the question. I mean, you were in an even tighter spot, like, because that's your post game, man. That's even tighter. But yours was slightly more successful. This was met with a little bit of awkwardness. So actually, I'll share this. In the locker room, I guess it was today, Thursday, as we're recording this. I went up to Caleb and I was like, God, I hope I didn't catch you off guard too much with that. I said, I just kind of assumed that you guys had seen that. He goes, no, it's hilarious, man. And he just laughed. So
again, good sport points. And look, we all know QB1's words go out to the universe, right? Like, there is a blog on the planet Mars right now that takes everything that Caleb Williams sends and sends it out to their audience and says, you won't believe what Caleb said today. So he understands the responsibility of standing up at that podium and giving an answer that's to the point, but keeps him safe.
Yeah. All right. That was awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. Let's get to our second segment, one of our new segments in 2025 on Take the North. That is our game spotlight segment. And Dan, I teased it a little bit, but it's all about Lamar Jackson. What is the latest on Lamar Jackson that you could share with us, the fine Baltimore quarterback?
Right. This is our Take the North game spotlight that comes this week with those two red light emojis, right? Like, get those alarms sounding. What does Lamar Watch say on Thursday of week 8? And it says that he was limited for the second consecutive day at practice. I think the general vibe in the outside world is that there's no way that Lamar Jackson can miss this game. His team is 1-5. Their season's hanging by a thread. You would expect him to want to come back in and rescue the Ravens, who have really, really struggled offensively without him, have struggled for the entire season with or without him. And so now you're kind of waiting to see if the Bears are going to get that challenge of having to defend Lamar Jackson. There's a couple little like fine print things to this whole storyline. Number one, Grote, the Ravens play a football game next Thursday. So there's a quick turnaround. And if you were a 4-2 Ravens team and you were saying, okay, maybe we just play it safe with our two-time MVP and we give him another game off and then have him come back for the quick turnaround against the Dolphins next week. They don't have that luxury, I don't think. And so they've got to play this calculus game. And then you get Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, standing up in front of the media out there today and basically insinuating that Lamar has our green light. Now he needs his green light. He has to communicate that he himself feels physically ready to go, and if he is, he's got the game plan ready for him, because they want him, they need him, they know what's at stake here. I think it's really interesting to see where this heads, and to really feel out where Lamar's head is on coming back from an injury that's hard to come back from, particularly as a quarterback that needs his legs. Really, really dicey times in Baltimore, Mark.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Todd put him in that spot, because that does put the pressure on the player to
Calculated,
be like,
yeah.
It is calculated. And you and I both have an appreciation for Todd Monken, who we both had kind of desired as a potential candidate for head coach or even offensive coordinator here. I think the Bears did hire the right people, but he's an interesting character in his own right. And so it'll be like, yeah, you're right, man. The pressure is on Lamar, and I'm just looking at, like, during this, the Ravens, like Dan said, they're 1-5. They have lost 4 in a row, and like, bad on both sides of the ball. They've been getting blown out. At 37-10 loss to obviously a damn good Kansas City team, which is getting better all of a sudden. A 44-10 loss to Houston, a 17-3 loss to the Rams when last we saw them playing. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, I know we're going to talk about Roquan and all of that kind of stuff coming up in our next segment, but points allowed for Baltimore, 32nd, total yards, 38 per, passing yards, 28th, rushing yards allowed, 26th. there's not a lot of spots on this team that have been good, but they're like the ultimate sleeping giant. They were my pick to go to the Super Bowl. Injuries have derailed that. We all know they're better, and that's been one of the themes of this week. Nobody really trusts that Baltimore is going to be bad this Sunday.
It's interesting, and the prediction segment of this show will be revealing on where we stand with all this. They're 32nd, or tied for 31st rather, but still last in sacks. Their defense hasn't been able to get to the quarterback very much, and so
which is wild for a Baltimore team. Yeah,
no question. And by extension, their secondary has struggled because they've been stuck in coverage forever with nobody getting a pass rush. And so this look. I said earlier in the week that I woke up on Monday fully expecting the Ravens to win this game by double digits. I was going to pick them to win by 13 points and say, like, this is a team that, again, I picked to win the Super Bowl, that I believe has the talent on both sides of the ball to be one of the most dangerous football teams in the NFL, Mark. But then you talk to people, and we had Jeff Zrebiec from Baltimore on in our previous episode, and he gives you this feeling of uneasiness and this anxiety that's out there in Owings Mill, Maryland. And you don't know. Like, I do have this sense that this team might be one good shove from going off the edge of the cliff. And can the Bears provide that? It's really fascinating. Lamar's a huge part of that. We talked about Cooper Rush stepping in at the end of that Chiefs game and then starting the subsequent two games after that. They've scored one touchdown in 22 possessions with Cooper Rush as the quarterback, Mark. And so, like, how different of a football team they are without Lamar. The Bears know that. I think they want to take their swing at Lamar. And like we said, if this Ravens team is truly on the ropes, the way they seem to be on the ropes, maybe that one swing lands and all of a sudden they're seeing stars and the little birds are tweeting around their head and their season is up in smoke, right?
Unfortunately, the last time we saw a team that was quote unquote on the ropes, and it's kind of silly to say now because it was so early, but when Detroit was hearing about how bad they were without Ben Johnson, and Dan Campbell got all pissed off at the media there, and then they put up 52 on the Bears. And look, they're like the Ravens they're not obviously Lamar is a massive part of it, and 10 TDs to 1 pick this year. And you mentioned Cooper Rush, who, by the way, 4 picks, 0 TDs, but they got guys, Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. Is DeAndre Hopkins healthy? He's still hanging.
I think he's ill. I think he's out with a sickness here on today's day. And so, yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews and you're right. Like there's weapons on both sides of the ball. Kyle Hamilton might be one of the most dangerous defensive players in the league right now at the safety position. And so, again, the reason you looked at them on paper in August and said they can be the team that's showering in confetti in Santa Clara, California at the end of this year is because they're loaded and they're proven and they've been to the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. But there's just weird vibes, and I'll be out there this weekend and we'll get a look at it. Lamar's the linchpin of the whole thing. And his return is going to make a big difference to whether they can save their season. And in order to save their season, I really do believe that they have to win this game Sunday against the Bears.
And coming up, we'll give you our official picks, the three of us. We'll bring Studzinski, and we'll also have our FanDuel segment. We'll let you know what we're betting on this weekend here in a second. But first, one of my favorite segments of the week, as always, is the Dan Wiederer 3 things to watch. Bears and Baltimore. What have ye, Mr. Weedsy?
Not requiring a lot of lead in here on this one. The first thing to watch is Roquan Smith, Pro Bowl linebacker, all-pro linebacker of the Baltimore Ravens. First time playing against the Chicago Bears since the trade. That was almost 3 years ago. Now in the fall of 2022, Roquan met with the Baltimore media earlier this week. He talked about the opportunity to play against the team that drafted him. Let's start by hearing from Roquan Smith. We'll react on the back end.
I'm excited about the matchup for sure. Haven't gotten a chance to play Chicago since I've been here. Grateful for all of my time in Chicago. A lot of amazing people over there. Got a tremendous amount of respect. But obviously, it's the team that's on the schedule, and every team on the schedule has to get dealt with accordingly. You have to be the best version of yourself week in and week out, and it happened to be the Bears. So obviously, I have probably a lot of friends and family and stuff that'll be in, but it's about me doing my job to the best of my ability and showing the world exactly who I am. Each and every guy that's in this locker room, at least to the degree that I know them, and I feel like that degree is deep enough to know the mindset and how optimistic each and every guys are in this locker room. I feel like we're all internal optimists, and when you think about it from like that perspective, it's like we know exactly what we have to do, and it's about going out and doing it. And like I've reiterated to the guys throughout the week and at the back end of last week, it's about locking your jaw and having that mindset of like, hey, it's going to go down by any means, and you got to be there and be willing to put your face in the fan every given play. And all that takes is you doing your job to the best of your ability, 100 miles an hour. And when you do that, great things are happening. We'll love the results. So that's what it's all about.
3 All-Pros since he left the Bears. It feels like he should be older, just like Tremaine Edmonds. 28 years old. Tremaine Edmonds, by the way, 28 years old. And I know that that's always the comparison. I mean, Roquan Smith is better than Tremaine Edmonds, as much as we like what Tremaine Edmonds is doing for the Bears this year.
Yeah, and in a minute, we're going to bring in Eb Sinzinski to give us some numbers here that he wanted to bring to the show. I think you look at this, Grote, and you know that the trade that came on Halloween of 2022, those of us who are parents remember those types of day-changing deals that happen in the NFL. But Roquan is a guy that, the trade capital that the Bears got back basically got them Javon Dexter and Noah Sewell. The money that they didn't spend to extend Roquan Smith allowed them to sign TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. It's up to each individual person to decide whether that ultimately was a deal that benefited the franchise. My thing from day one, from the minute that trade was made, is that when you have a player of that caliber drafted in the top 10, homegrown in your organization, and you have the chance to make him one of the sort of faces of your franchise going forward, you do everything within your means to keep him around and have him be the leader of your program. The Bears couldn't get to the right spot in the conversations about the contract extension. Roquan left via trade, and now they get to face each other for the first time. And it does feel like you maybe left something on the table, particularly for a Bears organization that really struggles to get their first-round picks to second contracts.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like I got a lot of respect for TJ Edwards and Javon Dexter and all the parts that were there, but that was not a great move by the Bears. And I know things got ugly, and they did, because Roquan Smith put the Bears on blast during, I guess it was Family Day out at Soldier Field when all the bleep hit the fan, right? And he's talking about the history of the Chicago Bears and all the great linebackers and all of this stuff, but not being able to. And I get it. I understand why the organization was probably turned off. And probably we're like, yeah, we can go get somebody comparable. But Roquan Smith is a special player. And like we said, still young and a 3-time Pro Bowler. You're right. A little trivia for you and for Studs. Studs, if you want to jump in here, man, I know you got some Roquan stuff. I bet Dan knows this because, we've been looking at this stuff here. But do you remember the player that was involved in this trade as well? October 31st, 2022. Traded to the Ravens. Yeah, you got it. I knew you'd know it, man.
A little bit of a throw in. I think he maybe played like 10 snaps on special teams, and then he got waived, and it was
he no longer plays in the NFL, AJ Klein. But I do remember AJ Klein in the 2023 second rounder. Yeah, I've never liked Roquan Smith being traded out of here, but it did get ugly for a while. What up, Studs?
Okay, so this is something I've been keeping track of actually since Roquan left Chicago, pretty much. Because if you guys remember, you go back and I'll say up front, like what you guys have been saying, Roquan Smith is a better linebacker than Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. So like that's up front. Like he's a better player. I get that. So
and those two other guys are good too. They're just not as good as Roquan. Not trying to denigrate either. Yeah.
Yeah. The main thing that I've been looking at is because the Bears effectively replaced Roquan with Tremaine Edmonds, and you can throw in TJ Edwards. Like they basically worked him in under the same amount of money. So for the purposes of this conversation, I looked up, I've been keeping track of for a couple of years now, something that was a big topic of conversation surrounding Roquan Smith heading into that 2022 season before he got traded was they wanted him to make more impact plays. That was part of the things like, hey, we want you to essentially force more turnovers. Like real big impact plays in addition to what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been keeping track of impact plays, and for this conversation, I decided that impact plays are going to be interceptions, touchdowns, forced fumbles, or fumble recoveries. In the time that Roquan Smith has been with the Ravens, he has had 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. We'll count all those as individual plays. That's 8 plays, 8 impact plays since he got to Baltimore. Tremaine Edmonds, in his time with the Bears, 8 interceptions, a pick 6, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. That's 12. Now, if you want to so that one's bigger than the other, And again, do with that information what you will. I'm not saying that I wouldn't still take Roquan Smith on the Bears. I'm just saying, like, this is something I wish that was in the conversation a little bit more. Now you throw in TJ Edwards' numbers. Since he's been with the Bears, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries. That's 10 more plays. That's 22 plays the Bears have gotten on impact plays between Tremaine Edmunds and for Roquan Smith. And I just, again, do with that information what you will. I just want to present that information as part of the conversation because that is something they wanted Roquan Smith to do more of. And the Bears got 2 players that have forced a lot of impact plays in the last few years. And I get that there's more to that. You can look at tackles for loss. You can look at just general impact when they're on the field. And that's something that's like general impact on the field is something that can't really be quantified. I get that. And Roquan Smith is a better player, 100%. This is something I wish that we would talk about more, though. So there you go. Do with that information what you will.
It's good stuff. No, that is fair to point out, man. I wasn't even thinking along them lines, but you're right. That was what they would say out loud, that they wanted more playmaking, more all that kind of stuff from Roquan. I mean, he was a tackles machine, but he did not force a lot of turnovers while he was with the Bears. Good stuff, Studs. Studs, while you're... Yeah, no. While you're still here, sorry about that. I was going to go right to the next segment, but the problem is I don't see my read there, Studs. I don't see my.
I gotta give you 2 more things here to watch, and I'm going to go quick because I know we're.
I'm sorry. I didn't even. My bad.
The first thing, we'll go quick on this one. Bears red zone offense on Sunday is worth watching. They've struggled here in the last 3 games. 4 for 13 inside the red zone over the last 3 weeks. They're at 50%. On the season. That's ranked way down in the bottom 10 of the league. They get to face a Ravens defense that is really struggling with red zone defense. And so, Grote, you were there. You listened to Declan Doyle talk about it. You listened to Ben Johnson talk about it the previous couple of days. They understand that this is a priority, particularly when your defense gives you these opportunities with takeaways to go score touchdowns. You got to go score touchdowns. You get the ball inside that 20-yard line. You got to stop kicking field goals. I think you would agree that that's going to be a huge, huge factor in Sunday's game.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. I feel like everybody was talking. DJ Moore is talking about it. Enough of these field goals. We got to put the ball in the end zone, and it's hard to decipher and discern exactly who it's on, but that's definitely been a huge emphasis throughout this week.
Third thing to watch in this game, we're going to turn over a lot of this to Kevin Byard, one of our favorite guys in the locker room. It's Patrick Ricard. He's the fullback, Grote, and I don't know if a lot of people understand the backstory of Patrick Ricard. Came into the league out of Maine, undrafted out of Maine many years back. He's a 300-pound defensive lineman who has turned himself into one of the best fullbacks in football. One of the few remaining fullbacks in football, but one of the best fullbacks in football also. He's been to, I think, 5 Pro Bowls. A couple times named an All-Pro, and he is a guy that makes a difference in their offense. So getting him back, he hasn't played this season because of a calf issue, is something that Derrick Henry is going to love. And so Kevin Byard first had this to say about Patrick Ricard.
I mean, he's basically an extra offensive lineman in there, 300-pound fullback that more often than not, if he's in the game, they're going to run to him. So I think they're just kind of understanding what they're going to do schematically. They're going to run the 42, but then also we'll have some play action passes, but just kind of understand when they put him in the game, they're not putting him in there they're not putting him in and throwing the ball, basically. Right. You know what I mean?
Kevin Byard also very, very familiar with the top running back of the Ravens. Derrick Henry was part of the same Tennessee Titans draft class back in 2016. Kevin also allowed us in on the fact that they played each other in college. We'll get to that in a minute, but this is Kevin Byard talking about his familiarity with old King Henry.
Can't you do when you're trying to bring down Derrick Henry?
Well, don't go high, I'll tell you that. I've been on that sideline and watching that guy stiff arm everybody into the dirt. He's a future Hall of Famer, a really good friend of his. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be my first time since, people don't know this, but I actually played against him in college my senior year. But he's my first time actually going up against him in the league. So I'm excited for that and try to avoid that stiff arm.
Any good practice stories from trying to take him down in training camp or anything?
Well, the thing is that Derrick really never did anything during training camp. He was always on his own plan because obviously we knew he was gonna get probably 300 carries a year, so he didn't do too much during training camp, and it was nobody really wanted to touch Derrick during training camp or practice anyway. But nah, man, he's one of the most hard-working players that I've ever been around. I mean, you guys seen probably his off-season workout videos, and he's just a special guy. Like I said, he's a future Hall of Famer.
Grote, those guys were drafted 19 slots apart in 2016. Kevin gave me the license to go back and look up that game that they played against each other in college. Middle Tennessee State is where Kevin Byard played his college ball. So they went to Tuscaloosa in 2015. They lost by a score of 37-10. Derrick Henry had 3 touchdowns and 96 rushing yards in that game. So not a great day for Kevin Byard and the Middle Tennessee State team trying to slow down Derrick Henry. They'll give him KB will get another chance though on Sunday in Baltimore.
Oh, low-key Kevin Byard revenge game. Okay. I was looking up. I was just thinking about the last time the Bears had a fullback. The game, Kari Blasson game. And unless there's something wrong here on the page, I'm like, I don't believe the game is playing right now. Kari Blasson game, not a part of football at this moment. And what did he have, like 6 carries the whole time he was with the Bears?
3 other Bears fullbacks that I can name off the top of my head would include Paul Lasike, Michael Burton, and Brad Muster.
Brad Muster. I love Brad Muster. Number 25?
2.5, yeah.
2.5 out of Stanford, I think. Maybe. Upright runner, if I remember correctly. Was Matt Suhey a fullback?
Oh, for sure. Matt Suhey, of course. That's the staple fullback of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. That's really when fullbacks were fullbacks. All you youngsters out there, he blocked for Walter Payton. Not enough said, and he knew his role. Is that 3 things? Have you given?
That's 3. We got them. Check. Ding, ding, ding. We went right.
That was very thorough. Good stuff, Dan, as always. It is now time for our best bet segment. The best bet segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. What do we have today? Adam Studzinski re-entering the chat.
Okay. So I got two once again for you guys as we continue placing multiple bets throughout the season here. So this one I don't think would shock you guys because it's kind of been a little bit of a topic of conversation on the score throughout the week.
Bears.
The spread for the spread for the game for Bears Ravens started at 6.5. Ravens being favored -6.5 and has remained at 6.5. So the Ravens are still -6.5 for this game at -110, and the Bears are also -110 if you bet them +6.5. So that's a bet of the week right there, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that one? And then also, I'll go ahead and throw the second one out there. I'm presuming at this point that Lamar Jackson plays, but I think we can also assume that he will not be fully healthy. He won't be full Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's rushing prop for this game is 27.5 at -114 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Over under 27.5 yards rushing for Lamar Jackson, assuming he plays. Obviously, if you do place this bet right now, and he doesn't play, I believe you automatically get your money back and it's no bet. So you don't have to be concerned overly about that. So what do you guys think? Ravens -6.5 or Bears +6.5, and then Lamar Jackson's rushing prop at over under 27.5 yards.
I don't know if Lamar Jackson has the ability to keep himself from going under 27 yards. And I understand, like, they're going to tell him to be careful. They're going to tell him not to take chances, but it's part of his game. It's part of what he does. It would take, this sounds weird, it would take a lot of discipline for him to be like, yeah, I'm just going to take it easier. So I'm going to go. I'm not saying he's going to rush for 100 yards. I'll take the over on Lamar Jackson. And I do think, and I guess this will give a little bit away of like my upcoming pick, I do think Baltimore covers the spread against the Bears this Sunday.
That's a tell. That's a tell. I'm going to go with the over on the Lamar prop as well. I would love to see the numbers on how many 20-yard runs he's had in his career. It only takes one to get really close to that total, and then another little 3-yard scamper elsewhere in the game to get past that number. And so I think Lamar Jackson will be well enough, and he'll have enough of the medicine in him on Sunday to be able to run around the way he needs to. I will say that the Bears may choose to use a spy at certain points on Lamar Jackson. We'll see if that impacts the game and who that can be. We'll see. I will take the Bears with the points, and that's just a departure from what I told you at the outset. We'll get into more of that in the prediction segment, but I'll take the points with the Bears and Lamar with the over on the rushing total.
Can't wait. Studs?
I am also going to go with over on Lamar's rushing total, and I will go with Dan, and I'll take the Bears with the points, +6.5.
The Best Bet segment was brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Yeah, man, I think everything that we talked about, this is our prediction segment now. Everything that we talked about in the beginning, the desperation, the fact that Lamar Jackson is back, the fact that we all know, and the message has been loud and clear throughout the building, and I think the NFL knows Baltimore ain't this bad. They got to have it. I think Baltimore wins this game over the Bears. I'm going to go 28-17, Baltimore over the Bears.
So, Grote, one of the things that I enjoy about spending time with you out at Haugh is we get to learn that we know similar things from back long ago before Studs was, even in high school in some cases, 90s. There was a little group called Cypress Hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've sung some Cypress Hill lyrics to each other in the Haugh locker room. I think the Ravens are going to be playing "We Ain't Going Out Like That."
Oh,
we ain't going out like that.
Oh,
we ain't going out. So I think they're good enough. I don't know if they can fully rescue their season. I don't know if they can get themselves back on track and win that AFC North. But I do know that at 1-5, they've got at least one more swing in them. And that swing will come Sunday. You just heard me say that I will take the points with the Bears. So I think it's going to be closer than everyone in Baltimore wants, and probably encouraging for the Bears to be competitive in this game. I've got Ravens 24, Bears 20. We ain't going out.
Oh, I could just kill a man.
Adam, you got any Cypress Hill for us?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I know Cypress Hill. I can't do their lyrics off the top of my head like you guys can, though. So, God, I went back and forth on this so much, and I would say even as of Monday or Tuesday, I would have picked the Ravens. Again, I think we're all assuming Lamar Jackson plays. If it's Cooper Rush or whoever they're blanking on their other backup quarterback, then I don't give the Ravens a chance in this game. But assuming Lamar Jackson plays is what we're going with here. Up until Monday or Tuesday, with Lamar Jackson playing, I would have picked the Ravens outright with the Bears to cover. And then I read about all this desperate talk coming out of Baltimore, and it's not just in the last week. They were talking about how their week 1 loss to Buffalo over a month ago, where they collapsed in that game, was affecting them. That sounds like the Bears from last year after the Hail Mary loss. And then you have the talk of them removing stuff, the games from their locker room. Have you ever heard of a team doing that and had it result in good things? Doesn't it always keep going downhill? When's the time that a team removed the fun stuff from their locker room and was like, yeah, man, that was a real turning point in our season, let me tell you. And so things don't feel good. And I think that if the Bears come out and play well in the first quarter, like they have all year, get the Ravens chasing a little bit and get that little thing in the back of their head like, oh, shit, that the Bears end up winning the game. And that's how I predict things go. Bears get up early, get the Ravens panicking, Lamar Jackson not fully himself, and the Bears find a way to win the game 23-20. Just a little bit off Dan's score, but reversed.
Studs, if the Bears pull off that upset, I would recommend you get the Cypress Hill music out and you play Insane in the Membrane and you just have a 4-minute dance party.
I mean, like, look, you guys know me. You guys know me. I know that.
Everything is fine in the big time.
You guys know me. Like,
real.
look, I'm gonna if I can find a way for the Bears to win, I'm gonna pick them, and that's what I did. So there you go.
Rockstar, great song by Cypress Hill. That is, I might listen to that on my ride home today. Very strong. And by the way, the Tyler Huntley is the other quarterback who was the quarterback at Soldier Field, right? Last time the Bears played the Ravens, I believe it was like 23-2.
21. It was an Andy Dalton game because Andy Dalton hit what should have been a game-winning touchdown pass to Marquise Goodwin. And then the Bears defense broke down. There was some sort of big play that happened after that. Tyler Huntley left there victorious. I think Lamar Jackson was ill for that game. He wasn't hurt. He was just sick. So we'll see. Is Lamar Jackson ducking the Bears, Grote? That's the big question.
I got a funny story for you guys about that particular game before we go. So we all know, like, the Bears. That's the Bears season at that point was already lost that year. Remember, that was Justin Fields' rookie year. Didn't Justin get hurt in that game too? If I remember correctly, I don't think Andy Dalton started the game.
Okay.
So anyway,
yeah, I think you might be right, actually.
I do know that the next day was the Patch.com report for those who are curious.
That'd be Matt Nagy's
right. And so
firing.
Justin did get hurt in that game because Andy Dalton started against the Lions and he threw for like 300 yards and they won the game. So
right, and the special teams
that.
coach talked, and
right, yeah, that was a disaster. So anyway, just a funny story for that. I vividly remember that Ravens that Sunday because I woke up that Sunday morning violently hungover. And I look at my phone and I see Lamar Jackson's not playing. And I'm like, oh, the Bears might win today. And I crawl to the couch. And I remember the fourth quarter watching the game where the Bears took the lead. And I'm like, yeah. and then they lost. And I had like no emotion about it. I was like, oh, that sucks. and then I had to go into work and do a Bulls game that night. So
very nice. Very
nice.
Yeah.
Just to bring you down a little bit further, you got to go listen to a Bulls game for the next 3 hours.
Sunday night.
It was one of those days where I was more focused on staying alive than I really was about the Bears game. Because again, the season was lost, so it was just whatever. So yeah,
the season was lost. The regime was lost. It was all lost. And then we've been in a lot of lost times, Grote, but we're not in lost times now. And we've got vibes. And we're going to talk a little bit more on our next episode about vibes with our new friend, Nahshon Wright. We'll tease that for our next episode as part of our listen to this. That was a fun conversation today that we'll bring our people in our next installment.
Yeah, we got a Take the North exclusive about a 7 or 8 minute conversation with Nahshon Wright, who is a very interesting guy, very interesting dude, very forthright, very honest. He's got some humility to him. So I think you guys will enjoy that. That is going to do it for us today. For Dan Wiederer of The Athletic, for our executive producer, Adam Stadzinski, I am Mark Grote saying thank you for listening to and watching the Take the North podcast.
When the bleep goes down, you better be ready. Great talk. See you out there.
Yes.